Hello everyone. Today our story takes us to the far regions of the Caribbean, to the small island of Trinidad. Underneath Trinidad's tropical surface, vibrant streets and serene landscapes, lies a dark side. Its gentle breeze shares unsettling tales and unknown secrets. The villagers avoid specific routes after sunset, knowing the unexplainable secrets this beautiful paradise holds. From the abandoned estates and plantations in Rio Claro to forests of Morne Diablo, these tales invoke fear in those who seek to uncover them. And so, as the path our traveler walks tonight. The sun had already set some time ago, and the stars seemed to hide behind heavy clouds. Our traveler, Benjamin, found himself journeying along the Rio Grande Trail near Talpro. Benjamin was a figure of mystery, and those who met him would agree. His origins were shrouded in secrecy, his past whispered of in hushed conversations around campfires. His eyes, a deep shade of green, carried the weight of countless encounters with shadowy beings. His raven black hair fell in untamed waves around his angular face, where a scar ran from his left temple to his jawline. His attire was a patchwork of materials, each piece telling a story of a different hunt. His aura was a blend of rugged intensity and an unspoken understanding of the darkness that permeated the world. He never lingered in one place for long, never settling, always in motion. His horse's hooves echoed through the silence as he pushed forward, hoping to reach a nearby town soon. His journey was exhausting and demanding. The need for rest became important as the shelter in a small town 2 days ago was his last haven. However, little did he know fate had other plans, for the trail in front of him grew thick with fog, and the night air grew colder. As the fog thickened, Benjamin noticed a faint glow ahead, a pulsating light that seemed to dance on the edge of his vision. The hairs on his neck stood on end as if it was a warning, but his curiosity tugged at him, urging him to investigate. He got off his horse and secured it by a tree nearby. Leaving his horse behind, he ventured toward the light, guided only by the peculiar glow that cast strange, shifting shadows. Soon, he found himself at the edge of a clearing where an old twisted tree stood like a sentinel. Beneath it, an old broken-down cabin appeared as if conjured from the mists themselves. Its wooden planks creaked, and the windows were veiled in tattered curtains that fluttered like ghostly specters. As Benjamin approached the cabin, his heart pounded in his chest, a primal instinct warning him of the danger lurking within. He pushed open the creaking door and stepped into a room that seemed to belong to another time. Shadows danced on the walls, casting shapes that twisted and contorted with a life of their own. There it was, the source of light which guided him to the cabin, a host of candles. But the cabin, it was empty. No one was there, maybe they had left and could return at any moment, he thought to himself. I laid my machete on the table as I drank the water from my water container, which of course, needed refilling. Benjamin knew his horse needed a drink of water as well, so he searched for a pan or a bucket of sorts. Suddenly, a gust of wind swept through the room, extinguishing the candles that flickered on the table. In that moment, the silence grew profound, a stillness so deep that it felt as though time had halted. Darkness enveloped Benjamin, and his breaths grew deeper. He fumbled for a match to relight the candle. Just as the match flared to life, he caught a glimpse of movement in the corner of his eye. Turning slowly, dread pooling in his gut, he saw her. An old woman, her wrinkled skin sagging like molten wax, stood before him. "What brings you here, boy?" As her eyes glowed with an unholy crimson light, and her lips curled into a smile that revealed sharp yellow teeth. Benjamin responded, "A place to rest for the night, but it seems darkness has already claimed this place." He watched as her fingers reached for the tattered rags that clung to her body. She began to peel away her human skin. With each strip of skin that fell, the woman's true form emerged, a ball of fire, flickering and pulsating with a malevolent energy. Her fiery form lunged at him. He was flung across the room, his body colliding with the unforgiving wall. His mouth filled with the taste of iron. Each subsequent attack intensified. The agonizing pain radiated through his body, a sharp ache in his arm, serving as a grim reminder of his vulnerability. In his weakened state, he struggled to stand, the darkness played tricks on his senses and blurred his vision in a disorienting haze. He turned to escape the small confined cabin, but the door slammed shut with a force that shook its very foundation. In a sinister voice, the Soucouyant said, "Running away are we? There is no escaping your fate." Leaning against the door, his breath coming in short bursts, he squeezed his arm as pain coursed through him, a sensation he was familiar with. Benjamin responded, "What do you want from me?" The Soucouyant's laughter wove through the air. "Your life essence, boy. A taste to sustain me." The Soucouyant's blazing form drew ever closer, her fiery tendrils reaching out as she pressed onward, continuing her relentless onslaught, slamming him against the door. "For hundreds of years I have fed. I have feasted on the life essence of countless humans, men, women, and children," she said. On hands and knees, Benjamin looked around in the darkness of the room. "My machete, where is it?" he eagerly thought to himself. The Soucouyant reached down with scorching fingers constricting around his throat while her burning grip seized his face. An encroaching numbness spread through him, his strength fading, waning as he fought against her suffocating grip. The room seemed to darken as Benjamin's consciousness slowly began to fade. Armed only with a small sachet that had been his constant companion throughout his journey, Benjamin anxiously toyed with its latch, desperately hoping to discover something. Anything that could ensure his salvation. No dagger or blade was felt, only its coarse contents. "This is no good," Benjamin thought to himself as he was pressed even harder into the surface. With the Soucouyant consuming his energy, as a final act of defiance, Benjamin channeled every ounce of his strength and launched a series of strikes against the creature, but each one seemingly weaker than before. Halting his retaliation, the Soucouyant slammed Benjamin onto the floor and reveled in his efforts. "Oh, how amusing. Your courage leads you here, but it will not save you. I am the embodiment of fear itself," the Soucouyant said while reveling in his pending fall. Suddenly, the Soucouyant screeched, a piercing sound that seemed to resonate in the very crust of the earth. This coarse substance, on his hands, scattered on the ground as well. His satchel, laid on ground beside him, opened. The Soucouyant's flames sputtered and dimmed, the creature recoiled. Salt. One of the few elements that wards off or creates a barrier against evil. The Soucouyant retreated to the place where its kin laid in a grotesque pile, but something, an unseen force, prevented it from escaping. The Soucouyant threw itself around as if it was having an internal struggle with itself. Through clenched teeth, the Soucouyant said, "Tu crois que tes tentatives insignifiantes peuvent me defier, je suis l'obscurite qui prospère grâce à ton doubt." Not knowing of what words the creature spoke, Benjamin was certain that it spoke with a foreign language. With gnarled fingers, she gathered and meticulously counted each grain. Each grain represented a stolen moment of her own energy, a fragment of her powers. The Soucouyant was bound by a pact, a dark spell that compelled it to gather each grain. But by who and for what purpose? Through his battle experience and intuition, Benjamin realized the Soucouyant's means to escape had been halted. In that moment of the creature's vulnerability, he gathered himself, slowly getting to his knees and then his feet. Dragging himself along the wall as if to support him in a standing position. The discarded skin as it laid in the corner of the room. As he grabbed the skin, it pulsated with a dark energy, harboring tormenting forces that whispered unspeakable terrors. The malicious voices overwhelmed him with images of past wrongdoing, ill luck, and loved ones lost, taunting him, hoping to shatter his resolve and determination. The touch of every salt grain against the skin reverberated like a heartbeat, its echoes piercing through the cabin. The Soucouyant made a desperate attempt to escape through the smallest crevices and cracks. However, every nook and cranny denied her refuge. She thrashed and contorted, her suffering cries piercing the air, a discordance of torment. Shackled by her unending pact, her once fiery form found itself incapable of retreating into the safety of darkness. As the first light of dawn brushed the horizon, her fire began to wither, her wails intensifying with agony. In her final moments, the Soucouyant seemed to warn our hero once again in a foreign language, des forces, plus sombres inconnus de toi rodent au-delà du voile de la compréhension. Elles sont insurmontables, leur malveillance est un voile que même moi je n'ai pas pu éviter, the Soucouyant said. With those ominous words, her body disintegrated into a cloud of ash, carried away by the wind, leaving behind a warning of the unfathomable horrors. Her essence forever banished. Benjamin stumbled out of the cabin, gasping for air as he realized he had survived the encounter. As the first light of dawn painted the sky, Benjamin mounted his horse and said sarcastically to his horse, "Thanks for the help last night, buddy. You were a lifesaver." His horse brayed as if to mock him. The memory of the encounter forever engraved into his mind as a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurked just beyond the known world. He rode toward the rising sun, with the village and its cursed cabin disappearing into the distance.